And talk to your employees about upgrading your biosecurity methods, making sure that those plans are in place now. It's never too late to plan ahead. You would rather be safe than sorry.
Jennifer Tyree, Executive Director, Illinois Pork Producers. This is the RFD Livestock Report.
Hey, good Monday to you. It's time once again for RFD Illinois. I'm DeLoss Yankee.
I'm Rita Frazier. Well, deep breath, I suppose, yes. And then we'll proceed with the very latest from the west side of the state.
Yeah, I'm doing my regular corner economist bit, but
yes,
what you'll have here some very updated, very important information.
Mm-hmm. We sure hope to, and our thoughts and prayers really are with everyone, and then the entire state, because, I saw your face when Dan Hicks was giving us the forecast for this week, when he was telling us Friday, and you were like, what?
There was a point there where he said he could easily see another 1 to 3 inches of rainfall this week in different parts of the state. He's just like, enough already.
But before you hung up, I did hear him say, I will have good news. I just can't have good news this week.
Right. But, and hopefully there were a couple of days there, Saturday and Sunday, where some levels could go down a little bit. But, chances for rain, very widespread all the way through the week. Temperatures are going to cool a little bit. And he'll give us the latest report in just a couple of minutes. But you'll have some details just about how high that water's been getting. Good stuff. Not good stuff. Good information, not good news, but certainly the latest news in parts of Illinois. That and markets and weather all to come on a Monday edition of RFD Illinois. Stay with us.
With this week's edition of Farm Week, the early word, here's DeLoss Yankee.
Persistent rain continues to worsen flooding throughout Illinois, prompting increased frustration among farmers. Learn more about the lack of planting progress and the long-term weather forecasts in the latest Farm Week. Illinois farmers can apply for a license to grow industrial hemp. This week's edition of Farm Week provides details about the online license application process and industrial hemp production rules. Farm Week, the #1 ag publication in Illinois, arriving soon in your mailbox.
No other Farm Weekly in Illinois has as many people on the ground in Illinois covering Illinois agriculture for you, with the depth on key issues to help keep you profitable. And don't forget, you can get daily or even more frequent updates online anytime at farmweeknow.com.
We're back here on RFD Illinois. I'm Rita Frazier. River and levee watch. As of last night, things look pretty good. Of course, we've got the forecast coming, but one thing at a time. Pike Scott Farm Bureau Manager Blake Roderick gave us an update yesterday.
Well, on the Mississippi River, the crest has passed through the county. It didn't get as high as anticipated, which was a sigh of relief for everybody. The only problem is we're going to start getting rain here through Thursday. If the rain stays where they're talking about, shouldn't be a major problem. Forecast decides to change and we get some heavy rains. It's going to get ugly again real fast. The big concern right now is the Illinois River, because it's creeping up quite rapidly. By Wednesday, it'll be a foot of its high. That's causing a big concern because it's going to stay a foot below that level for almost 4 or 5 days. And if we get any rains on top of that within the Illinois River Valley or the Sangamon River Valley, it's going to put a lot of pressure on the levees. And part of the problem is Missouri River, Mississippi River, and Illinois River all come together about the same place, and the drain's not big enough, so we've got water backing up. In 1993, we saw that water backing up, and levees started failing, down around north of Grafton, and they just popped off one right after another until they got to Scott County. Hopefully we don't see that this year. The water seems to be coming down the river to us instead of backing up onto us. The other part, Rita, is the length that this water has been on these levees. We've had, starting back in October, we had high water. March, April, we had high water. And here now again in May, that just continues to put pressure on the levees on the Illinois and the Mississippi River, all up and down the length of those north of St. Louis.
So close watching the forecast, watching the levees up and down. Are folks asking for help when it comes to sandbagging this week?
They are. I mean, that's a continual ask. Folks are working on the Illinois River, Scott County District, and the Big Swan District, the Hillview District, which are all in Scott County. They're doing sandbagging, and the levees are on the Illinois River are dirt levees. They're sod levees. They're fairly strong. The big concern is overtopping. At the level they're predicting, we should be okay, but if it goes up any higher, then that's where you start getting into some big concern, and where the filling sandbags and such is going on the Mississippi River too. In the Snide District, I'm sure it's going on in the levee districts up and down the Mississippi, Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri for that matter.
Lake Roderick, Pike, Scott County. In Mercer County, the Bay Island Drainage District, we talked yesterday afternoon with Brian Mills in that county, and he also reported good news for now in that part of the state.
Very pleased at the prediction right now. We have crested on Thursday, and there's some unknowns about the rainfall coming here next week, but we've been getting really good information from the National Weather Service, and they give us a pretty good level of confidence that we will not exceed our previous crest, which is really good news.
Explain to us a little bit more about your Bay Island Drainage District.
Well, the district here has 26 miles of levee that we maintain. In there's about 24,000 acres that this levee protects. This time of year with a flood situation, it becomes an hour-to-hour situation. It's not that one person might get flooded and the other one not. It's not that you might get flooded a little bit, and the situation is it's all or nothing, and everybody's in it together. There's been really good cooperation among all of us here in the district. If it would breach or overtop this levee, then all of us here in the district would be under, 12 to 15 foot of water. And so we do a lot of patrolling on the levee several times a day with eyes on it to just make sure that it is not in danger of breaching. We have a lot of seep coming through the levee. That's normal, and as long as that water's coming through nice and clear, that's a natural thing in this environment. We're going to be watching not only the weather forecast and the rain forecast, but also the river forecast, and that will dictate where we take action and if we take action. Our flood action plan calls for taking different actions at different stages, and so right now we are pumping and patrolling and a little bit of praying.
Brian Mills, Mercer County, Bay Island Drainage District. More news as we follow this story throughout this week here on RFD Illinois. Let's break. DeLoss is back with more.
Are you preparing for planting season? We don't mean to be a pest, but here's a few things you need to know before you grow. The Illinois Department of Agriculture now requires special local needs labels, including new restrictions for the use of herbicide dicamba on top of soybeans in Illinois for the 2019 growing season. Did you know these additional restrictions go beyond federally approved labels? Remember, the label is the law. To find out more about these Illinois-specific labels, visit ilfb.org/label-aware.
Attention corn farmers. Your corn checkoff dollars are working with the U.S. Meat Export Federation to grow red meat export volumes. Because when we're exporting beef, we're also exporting corn. The beef industry consumes 28% of all corn fed to livestock, plus additional corn in the form of DDGs, a co-product of ethanol production. Now that's what we call working an angle. Your checkoff is working corn from all angles. Because of the Illinois Corn Marketing Board, your profitability is our bottom line. A message from the Illinois Corn Checkoff.
Welcome back to RFD Illinois on a Monday. I'm DeLoss Yonke with the corner economist, Mike Doherty, senior economist at Illinois Farm Bureau. Hello, Mike.
Hey, DeLoss.
What do you got for me?
We talk about a bunch of different things, including, in this case, workers' efficiency. Sounds like good news for the U.S. and for the economy.
Yeah, productivity, as we measure it, advanced to the best rate, was reported as advancing the best rate since 2010. And this is something that was kind of not going up fast enough, or should have gone up faster, it seemed like, and so it has finally increased. And what we measure there is per unit of output for the economy, an additional unit of output, the mix of wage labor hours combined with how much cost of capital you combine with labor. So that's how economists think. It's what W on the numerator, capital on the denominator, and output Q on the equals on the right side of that equation. And so if you have a Q goes up, if output goes up, then something happened. Either you had increased capital, or you had increased labor units, or there's something else in there. A little T, that is for technology, which means that you could not necessarily increase capital, not necessarily increase labor, and yet have increase in output because labor is more efficient.
Gotcha.
With technology.
Okay, now, if you have these things going in the right direction, and you've got these tariffs, you say, well, we're doing so much better here in the U.S., should we keep our tariffs in place then, because that would help stimulate U.S. productivity, U.S. output?
No. That's what we call, the problem with tariffs is what economists call the creation of a deadweight loss, which is you end up reallocating resources and you peel off part of the profit, basically, that would have gone somewhere, and eventually in a competitive system would have resulted in the pockets of the consumers. Ultimately, what happens with tariffs is the consumer ends up paying for a tariff. Your car costs more. That's what's already happening. That's what's going to happen in the future if we leave tariffs on. If we increase these tariffs, the U.S. consumer is the one who's going to pay for that, and that's why you end up with a recession out of it, because 70% of the economy is driven by the U.S. consumer, and they have less money to spend for the same amount of goods that they're buying.
Yeah. Farmers that wanted to build new bins, or elevators that wanted to build new bins, had to pay almost 25% more just because of the tariffs.
Yeah.
Price immediately went up.
And no improvement whatsoever in what that bin accomplishes.
Right.
It's the same
purpose,
thing, same purpose, size. Does everything for the economy it did before, but 25% has gone out the window. That's that deadweight loss.
I was called that a couple times after high school.
Yeah, I don't like it when people call me
I know.
that.
Federal Reserve Bank, no surprise, little surprise, left interest rates alone, which certainly is good. We did a thing last week with ag bank borrowing was up 5%.
Yes.
But as the cost of money stays low, then that's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's well collateralized. The farm debt, which is as high as it was in 1980, a lot of people do not realize how high total farm debt has gotten. Interesting piece out on that by economist David Widmar, who I got to have dinner with last week. And he's worried about the amount of money that is going to farm interest expense. The servicing the debt is increasing, but it's still well below what it was in 1980. So when you get people talk about this reminds me of 1980 and the farm crisis, no, not really, because back then the interest expense that farmers were spending on the debt was much higher, and it was much less collateralized. Now you got these high $10,000 per acre. Even if the farmer only owns 15 or 20% of the land, that's still 15 or 20% at $10,000 an acre. You can collateralize a lot of debt with that. Mm-hmm. Now, as you may have seen the farm doc piece out, much talked about the delays in planting and what that's doing to the probability of yield. Already a high chance of it going back to trend. Mm-hmm. Well, it's only been because it's been above trend that we had such a great year last year. Right. Without it going above trend, then we're at Gary Schnittke's forecast of minus $55,000 net farm income for a 1,500-acre farm.
Yeah, that was a May 1 piece on Farm Dog Daily. Scott Irwin and Todd Hubbs.
Yes, that's a good article. If anybody out there is interested in the interplay between weather probabilities of how that shifts the probability of late planting, and then with those late planting, what that does, the probability of lower yields. That's an excellent farm doc piece.
By the way, mark your calendars, July 31. Hopefully you'll be done planting by then. Farm Income Conference taking place. We got a little sneak preview here.
Yeah, so that's coming up, and we've got our keynote speakers. We're going to have a really noted a lady. She's an Australian, but she's a professor at UCal Davis, all the way out there at Sacramento, coming to Normal, Illinois, and she is nationally recognized as a speaker on biotechnology and the regulatory barriers to biotech adoption and how other countries are surpassing the United States in biotech progression, I guess, of biotech products. So she's really a great speaker. I've watched her videos. People really enjoy her delivery. And she's extraordinarily knowledgeable. She has become an advocate in this area for regulatory reform. Over the lunch hour, we've got one of the noted international trade economists, Veronica Nye, coming from Washington D.C., which would really be cool. I'm anxious to see her. I'll be very interested in seeing her presentation over lunch. And then the wrap-up speaker is somebody we had at Young Leaders Conference and really wowed the crowd down in, that was in Peoria, right, this year. Jolene Brown. And Young Leaders really wanted her back. And so I said, well, let's bring her back for the Farm Income Conference. And she's going to do an hour-and-a-half presentation on succession, on family farm issues, intergenerational issues, working within the family. And we're really in the year here where a lot of farmers are going to want to know that information. But, people should come to that one, even if it's years away. They may say, well, I'm not going to deal with that for 5 more years. Well, come to this presentation because you're going to walk away with some tools. She's going to give you a bunch of tools and things you can follow to deal with that within your family farm management situation.
Mike Doherty at Illinois Farm Bureau will break for markets and weather.
With the RFD Ag Market Summary for this Monday morning, I'm Jim Taylor. Corn steady, beans slightly lower, and wheat ending Friday lower. May corn closing at $3.63, up a penny. July corn up 1/4, $3.70 3/4, and September corn $3.77 3/4 unchanged. May beans ending Friday $8.29 1/2, down a penny. July beans down a penny, $8.42 1/4. And August beans, $8.48 3/4, down 3/4. May wheat, $4.28, down 5 1/4. July wheat ending Friday, $4.38, down 6. September wheat down a nickel, $4.46 3/4. May bean meal, $2.9360, up 1.20. May bean oil, $27.07, down 16 cents. And current electronic overnight trading, May corn down 10 1/2. July corn down 8. September corn down 7 1/2, $3.70 1/4. May beans in the overnight down 16 1/4. July beans down 16 1/4. And August beans down 16 1/2, $8.32 1/4. July wheat in the overnight down 6 1/2. September wheat down 6 1/2, and December wheat down 7. $4.56 1/4. In the outside markets, July Brent crude oil $70.85, up a dime. The June gold contract $12.8320 this morning, up 1.90. In the livestock market from Friday, May lean hogs $85.35, down 75 cents. June lean hogs unchanged, $92.75. June live cattle $132.42, down 1/4. August live cattle down 102. 109.15. May feeders 137.15, down 182, and August feeder cattle 146.37, down 152 on Friday. Cash livestock at Walnut Livestock Auction last week. Steers 127, the top. Illinois direct barrels and gilts trading $1 to $2 lower on Friday at 51 to 57. I'm Jim Taylor.
Good morning, this is Dan Hicks from Freeze Notice Weather with the early morning ag weather update on the RFD Radio Network for this Monday morning. Most of the Midwest had at least some dry time this past weekend. Rains from late last week moved out of the southern through eastern Midwest on Saturday, and a few showers did make a return to northern Illinois the past 24 to 36 hours. Weekend high temperatures in the 60s and 70s were common. The weather pattern looks fairly active across the Midwest this week. Best chances for some showers and thunderstorms today will be across the northern and western parts of Illinois, with off and on showers and thunderstorms expected across much of the Midwest then, tonight through Wednesday and Thursday. There will continue to be a wide temperature range across the Midwest, across a stalled boundary. Daytime highs will be as warm as the 70s and 80s in some southern areas of the Midwest this week, while farther north, below normal readings are expected in some northern areas, with highs only in the 50s. At least some 1 to 2 inch rainfall amounts are likely across most of Illinois through the end of the week, with any dry time over the next 4 or 5 days being fairly brief. A few locally heavier amounts are possible across the region through Thursday and Thursday night. It does look like that we will see a longer dry period moving into the Midwest late this week through the weekend. The upper-level flow will turn more to the northwest during this time, and this should push best rain chances into the far eastern and southern U.S. starting Friday and continuing into the weekend. This will allow high pressure to build into Illinois from the northwest and could bring us 3 or 4 days of dry weather starting late this week, lasting through the weekend and early next week. This pattern of generally less rainfall looks like it will continue into the 6 to 10 day time frame, with near to below normal amounts in most areas, although some locations in the Ohio Valley could see at least normal rainfall during the 6 to 10 day time frame. I'm Dan Hicks from Freeze Notice Weather.
From midnight snacks to holiday gatherings, food is a part of our culture that brings us together every day. To make sure we all have food on our tables, Illinois farmers are going beyond planting crops and raising animals. We're making sure the wildlife that helps our food grow has homes too. To learn more about conservation efforts, visit ilfarmersconserve.com. Preserving our water, protecting our land, providing our food.
This message brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau.
Farm, family, food. Those 3 words best describe Illinois Farm Bureau. Farm. For 100 years, Farm Bureau in Illinois has represented and served the men and women who make Illinois one of the top food-producing states. Family. At the heart of rural Illinois are traditional farm families who work together through Illinois Farm Bureau. And food. Farm Bureau families are proud to grow the healthy food they provide their families and yours. Farm, family, food. The heart of Farm Bureau in Illinois.
All ag.
All Illinois.
All now.
There are a lot of smartphone apps out there, but do they have what's important to us here in Illinois? The Farm Week Now app does, and it's always at your fingertips. All ag, all Illinois, and 24/7 where and when you need it for free. Go to your app or Play Store on your smartphone, hit search, type in Farm Week Now, that's one word, and download it today. Brought to you by Illinois Farm Bureau, where we're all about farm, family, and food.
Farm Week and FarmWeekNow.com journalist Daniel Grant connects rural routes for you. With more than 2 decades of reporting under his belt, Dan is the go-to source for farmers when it comes to commodities. Here's a bit about his rural roots.
I grew up on a grain and livestock farm near Roseville in Warren County. What I love about my job is working with people, traveling across Illinois, and visiting farms along the way.
Be it routes or roots, RFD Radio, FarmWeekNow.com, and Farm Week keep you connected.
That's all the time we have for RFD Illinois on a Monday.
Yes, thanks for being a part of the program. We'll have more news throughout the day, but let's salute a town.
In this case, Westfield is a village in Clark County. They're on the east edge of the state, population 600.
Hello.
Say hello. Sponsored by Country, your farm is your family's legacy and part of your hometown heritage. While you work sun up to sundown to get the job done, we're here protecting the things you love every step of the way. Country Financial. Learn more at countrycrop.com.